Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to a special economic weather report in association with ASB. Today we look at producer price inflation figures. Now these aren't inflation figures that affect us all directly. These are the prices that businesses pay for their inputs and what they charge for their outputs. And the Reserve Bank likes to watch it closely because it gives an idea of what may be happening to prices in the future. Well, the numbers are out for the September quarter in New Zealand, and input prices were up 3.7% for the September quarter. This was actually worse than many economists had forecasted, about 3%, although it was slightly down on the shocking June quarter, which was 5.6% up. Now, part of the reason for this is that power prices fell almost 30% in that quarter as the drought filled up those lakes and spot power prices, for businesses obviously, started to fall. However, this input price inflation for the year was an amazing 13.6%. This is the worst since 1987. Now let's have a look at the outputs side, so what businesses were charging for their own outputs. Inflation for the quarter was 2.8%. It wasn't quite as bad as, the very bad June quarter of 3.5%, but it was worse than economists' expectations at 2%. For the year, outputs inflation is nearly 10%, 9.8%, and this also was the worst since 1987. What we're seeing here is the end of the boom in inflation in fuel prices and commodity prices generally. And remember, it went to the end of September. October has been a very poor month for commodity prices, or a good month, depending on who you are. And of course, for fuel prices, the oil prices dropped to close to $50 a barrel. In fact, the New Zealand price that we pay for oil, the Dubai price, actually did fall below $50 a barrel last week. Now this, in theory, will start to filter through into lower input price inflation and output price inflation coming into the December quarter. The Reserve Bank will certainly want to see it. Many economists believe that even though this inflation figure was worse than they expected, it won't derail the Reserve Bank from cutting the official cash rate by a further 100 basis points on December the 4th. Only a couple of weeks away now. And this means that the official cash rate is on track to hit a trough of 4% sometime next year. Now, what does this mean for people with term deposits and fixed rate mortgages? Well, if you've got a fixed rate mortgage, interest rates, particularly variable interest rates, are likely to be significantly lower next year. So it doesn't make sense to lock in what are relatively high rates now for 2, 3 or even 5 years. Best to have a look at the 6-month and 1-year rates and then wait for the variable rate to drop. It could easily hit 7% sometime next year. And for term deposits, well, hold on to those high rates as long as you possibly can and go long with your term deposits where interest rates are relatively high and interest rates are likely to drop in the next 6 months or so. I'm Bernard Hickey. That was a special economic weather report brought to you in association with ASB.